What's going on, guys? Video blog time. Want to talk about something I just purchased a couple days ago, actually, and that was Dark Souls Deuce for the PS Tray. Um, so it's the Black Armored edition, and I kind of wanted the steelbook version of this simply because I'm a big fan of Dark Souls, and you know I wanted to have something a little special to coincide with the release of Dark Souls 2. So take off the slip cover, and basically that's all it is. The steel book here. Now this is a weird steel book because most steel books, as you can see here, it's not just like has like an extra spine in the middle. This doesn't. It feels a little cheap, to be honest with you. You got the voucher to redeem the useless weapons. Because I'm finding damn near every weapon that comes with this edition useless to me. Instruction manual. Oh, I'm sorry. That's not really it's something else. And basically, there's the CD soundtrack and the game disc. Oh, it actually kind of does like a little wallpaper there. Pretty cool. So yeah, it's a different kind of steelbook than I'm used to. I feel like it's a little cheaper. And I mean, it does pop out, as you can see. It has like a little. But I was expecting the usual steelbooks that it comes with, but whatever, not a big deal. I mean, just. And the soundtrack could be cool. I don't know, because I haven't played the game enough to like hear the music enough to say I really want that soundtrack. But it's there, so if I do want it, I already have it. So that's why I don't really like to buy collector's editions, simply because the soundtrack in theory is cool, but if the soundtrack is not something that you are super pumped about, well, it's basically, it's whatever. So that is Dark Souls Deuce. Now, first of all, I just want to talk about my experience, and I want to talk about some technical stuff. Okay, so I got the PS3 version simply because I can use my PS4 controller, and my PS3 is still connected. My Xbox has been put away. The 360 is basically, for me, has been retired. So comparing the versions, it seems like the 360 version has a better frame rate, or a more stable frame rate, should I say? But it has non-stop screen tearing, which I'm very sensitive to. So that for me is a big yuck. But Dark Souls 2, when I first got in there for PS3, right away I noticed, okay, the frame rate, something's different with the frame rate. And the first area you start out in, there's nothing there, so it feels like almost like it's like 40, 50, even 60 frames a second. So I'm thinking to myself, well, this feels weird, because Demon Souls and Dark Souls, that game, the frame rate, excuse me, being 30, really, the feeling is totally different. Usually I like 60 frames a second, but on the PC I enabled the frame rate thing so I can go do 60 frames a second just to see how it played. It's a totally different game with 60 frames a second. The animations and everything feel totally different. So I don't know if those were tied to the frame rate being dependent on it being 30 or whatever, but the PS3 version, though, it's a variable frame rate, so it's literally jumping all over the place. It's like it'll go from 40 to 20 to fucking, you can tell a fluctuation for me. I had to turn down the camera sensitivity, because when I would move the camera, I would get so disoriented. I mean, I was getting motion sickness. I never get motion sickness in games. But I had to stop. I was like, it was weird when I'm looking at the game and the fluctuations in the frame rate. Oh my god! So I hear it's not as bad on the 360, but then you got nonstop screen tearing versus the PS3 version where it has vertical sync enabled. But it's weird because the frame rate is jumping all over the place. I don't know. It's so that's my tech wise. That's my biggest complaint. Also, it's actual native 720p, but I don't see any extra benefit to bumping up the frame rate from an upscaled frame rate. Resolution. I don't see the benefits in visual quality versus performance. So whatever Dark Souls original did with the resolution, everything just looked better and felt better. Here, and so that fluctuating frame rate for me causes all kinds of miscalculated hits and dodges and like 8-Bit was saying in his video, something does feel off about hitting. I especially noticed it when I got the Ultra Greatsword. I would swing from side to side, single-handed swing, and a lot of times it's supposed to stun them to an extent, like kind of like a stun lock, and I would hit them, and they'd hit me like 40 times. I'd see my health bar go, Drrrah! And I'm like, shit, I got this big sword with this long reach, and they're still hitting me with daggers. I think the beginning is unnecessarily difficult for the wrong reasons, in my opinion. They're really playing off the whole motto of, you're gonna die, like to the extreme, And what happens is usually you're supposed to die because you don't know what's coming, and because you're getting too excited, or you get rattled, and so you just lose composure, and boom, you die. But here, what I'm noticing, especially in the very beginning when you have damn near no health recovery, it's brutal. It's brutal. I mean, really bad. They expect that you can get to a boss, and then, like I fought this particular boss, and I couldn't heal. I could not heal because if I took a drink, the animation for the drink has been slowed down tremendously. So you're like, he's doing all that, and then it's like, and then you can't even roll, out of the way in time. And I always would get hit. And then the thing is, in the previous games, your bar would fill up quickly, your health bar. When you would drink something, boom. Now it's like, you drink it and then it slowly replenishes. So you can get fucking hit before it even fully heals you and just negate everything. It's really, I don't know if that's a good thing. I mean, I don't think it's good. I mean, I'm like level 50 some now. And it's gotten easier simply because you eventually find stuff that upgrades your flask so you can take more drinks. The bonfires feel a little weird now too. It just doesn't feel the same. Like, I don't know if it's the animation or whatever, but when you touch the bonfire and like the whole world like restores, it just doesn't. It feels weird. That's a little petty thing that I noticed for me. Little detail. I understand why they made it to a point where certain enemies you've killed will no longer show up because it's known that you're farming the enemy, which is cool. I think it's a good thing. It discourages you from sitting there trying to grind. I like that. That's a plus. What else? I do like the fact that you can fast travel right away. I like that. I don't know if I like having to talk to the specific lady to level up. I know that's how it was in Demon Souls, but in Dark Souls. I think you leveled up at the bonfire. I can't even remember, even though I played the hell out of that game. Um, and you get the item box right away. There's no item burden, still equipment. But then they changed the stats, and you got this thing called adaptability, and I'm not 100% sure what it does. I know it does scale with your endurance, but I don't know if it's super beneficial to pump stuff into that stat or not. Um, so there's that. I do like that it's not just with the rolling, the equipment load. I like that it's not just straight too heavy, too light. I like that there's a little bit of a, you know, value to each, percentage, because you could be super slow or kind of slow or super fast or whatever. So I feel like there's more variation in that. I get that's a plus, because if you want to equip more stuff, but you don't necessarily need super fast rolling, you just want to be able to roll, and that's there. Um, the world doesn't feel as smart, smartly connected. Like in Dark Souls, you would go through an area and you come back and you're like, oh shit, this is a shortcut to this. There still are shortcuts, but they don't feel as natural as the original Dark Souls. Um, so far, that's what I've noticed. I'm not really a fan of that. They've really bumped the difficulty of the enemies, their regular normal enemies. I mean, um, they hit you like 50 times. And almost every weapon I was using had zero stun lock at all. Like you couldn't stun any enemy until I got like an old knight greatsword. That would actually make them stun. Um, but then that particular weapon would break so damn quickly. It was frustrating. I do like that you can respec your character if you find a specific item. That's pretty cool. I like that because, especially the first time you play the game, if you're not reading guides and all that, and you're just going through the game, you can make a mistake, go back, and you can fix it, which is cool. Um, in the original, you basically had to play the game, go back, read a wiki, understand how to perfectly scale out your character according to what weapon you want. And see, the problem with that is, if you're new to the game and you don't know what weapons are available, and the weapons you find are limited, you don't know what you want to scale your character to, what weapon. So you basically could be, you like a sword you have at the moment, and then you realize a sword later you find down the line you like that sword style better. Well, you probably screwed up your build because you scaled it to the previous sword, which has different types of stats. That sucks. I never liked that part of it. So being able to respec your character is awesome. I do like that. Um, Other than that, so far I do like it. I don't know if I like it as much as the original Dark Souls or even Demon Souls. Um, just the lore and the voice acting and stuff, something's off. It doesn't feel as genuine as the past couple games. Um, it feels like it's becoming a mainstream thing, which, it's not bad that a lot of people like the game, but what happens is I feel like developers and publishers start to see, oh, this game's doing really well. So a lot of things get in there that you don't, it just changes the overall atmosphere of the game. Um, and I can't say for sure if I feel like this has been affected by that. I gotta put some more hours into the game. I at least want to get close to the end or beat it before I make a real full-blown decision if I don't like it, do like it less, or whatever it may be. Um, but now, besides that, more on the technical side of it, it seems like definitely the PC version will be the one to go with. It's already, on NeoGAF, it's already a big fucking thread about downgrading the game from the initial reveal, lighting wise, and all that other stuff. And I will say, we, as fans, and we should not be shown target renders. That's not for us. That's for a publisher or someone to show that you're trying to convince to get funded. Don't show that to the customer. Don't show us a target render. Show us actual gameplay footage, or just show a CG trailer. You get less flack because people know it's not real. When you show these target renders, and then when the game comes out, it looks worse than what it initially did. You just feel like you were lied to. You were duped into like being more excited than you should be. Even though it is just the graphic side of it, it's something that I feel like that shouldn't be done. That whole target render shit, don't show that to the fans. Don't show that to us. I mean, we don't need to see that. You're just going to cause negative publicity for your game. So I don't see why you'd want to do that. I really feel like Namco, or is it Bandai Namco? Let me see. Let me make sure here. Bandai Namco is going to milk the fans. And what I mean is, there will be a PS4 and Xbox One version of the game. There will be. There'll be a definitive version. It'll be Dark Souls Extra Die Edition, or whatever the fuck it may be. Because you can tell the performance on the game is definitely not up to snuff. I mean, it's expected almost at this point for the older consoles to be like this, but garbage ass frame rates and screen tearing, and man, I hate it. I mean, go back, cap the fucking game at 30 frames a second, patch the fucking Dark Souls 2 on PS3, take off I don't know what you gotta do, but lock that shit at 30 frames a second. I cannot stand this fucking variable frame rate. I can't stand it. It gives me fucking motion sickness, man. I'm telling you. In the 360 version, I've seen video footage, and even through video on YouTube and Eurogamer on their face-off, the screen tearing was ridiculous in the 360 version. It's non-stop. Usually that's like Assassin's Creed level of fucking tearing. It's ridiculous. So I almost guarantee there will be a PS4 version. I think it's fucked up that they're doing this. But yeah, I think they're going to make their fucking money off the PS3 and 360 version, release the PC version, and then do a Tomb Raider and release the definitive version of the game on the next gen, or the now current gen consoles. So, anyway guys, that's all for today. The video is pretty long, but if you stuck through it, good for you. Good for you. But I guess that now, after I was saying all that, I'm going to go back and jump into some Dark Souls Deuce. Peace out, guys.